Josh and Frankie with a couple of dumb shits. Hello, primates! You found Primus Tracks. Congratulations! There are many ways to find us, not just here on this podcast. We're at Primus Tracks on Instagram and Threads. PrimusTracksPod@gmail.com is the email address. And for more Josh and Frankie than you'd ever want in the universe, patreon.com/Primus Tracks. I am Josh, the aforementioned Josh, and he, well, if you come around to the 39th floor of Primus Tracks Towers, you can talk to him. It's Frankie.
Hi, Josh.
Welcome in, Frankie. I don't know if you get any random drop-ins there at the 39th floor. There's pretty good security at the entrance. I know that.
Yes. And we have quick access to the chopper.
Oh, very nice. The pad up there is quite convenient when Frankie needs to hop in and go to a show. I see it flying overhead. I still haven't been invited onto it. However, I've seen it in the skies, and I am quite envious. So, Frankie, today we're talking about Birthday Boys, track number 9 from the Grand Pecking Order by a band called Oysterhead. That's an interesting name. I don't know about you, but Birthday Boys was an American sketch comedy television series that premiered on Independent Film Channel on October 18th, 2013, starring the sketch comedy troupe of the same name. And it was produced by Bob Odenkirk, and it was quite funny. Is this not, you're looking at me, is this not what we're talking about today?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. God, I got them mixed up. Are you familiar with the TV show, the sketch comedy show, Birthday Boys, Frankie?
Never watched it.
The first season is pretty good. The second season is fantastic. Very funny stuff happening there. And the aforementioned Bob Odenkirk makes a lot of appearances.
He's great.
Oh, yes. One of my favorites. Man, I'm actually looking at the guests they got for the second season. Fred Willard, one of my favorites of all time. Scott Aukerman, Jack Black and Kyle Gass. Ellie Kemper, Garfunkel and Oates. Sandra Bernhard. Oh my gosh, I don't remember her on there. Fabio. Paul Scheer, Dana Carvey. Wow. Anyhow.
Dana Carvey from Wayne's World?
That Dana Carvey, the one and only.
That is amazing.
Wow, good for them. But I suppose we're talking about a different set of Birthday Boys today, and that is related to Oysterhead. Track 9 checks in at 3 minutes and 6 seconds. At least that's what it says on the CD notes. However, when I ripped the CD, Frankie, it came in at 3 minutes and 5 seconds. I don't know who to trust anymore. Music credited to Trey Anastasio, lyrics Trey and Les Claypool. Frankie, this one is a mystery, at least as far as the lyrics go. We've heard rumors, innuendo, rumblings of what this could be about. Perhaps you can shed light on Birthday Boys.
I think the first thing we need to do is trace back the song to its earliest incarnation. So what do you think if we sample a little bit of Birthday Boys back in New Orleans 2000?
Let's hop in the old time machine and make it happen. And when I say time machine, Frankie, I mean Toasterland, of course.
Yeah. It's important to note that this is an instrumental rendition which blends in with another portion called Happiness in My Pants.
Right. Great title. And these two tracks would become intertwined. So on your May 4, 2000 recording from the Sanger Theater in New Orleans. This is Birthday Boys, which precedes Happiness in My Pants. Sounds pretty familiar, Frankie.
Yep.
It's formed. Trey's guitar part is there. All right. So we have that, and then you're prompting me to go to 1 minute and 15 seconds. Let's see what happens here later in this first performance ever of Birthday Boys. Stu doesn't have all his toys, so he's playing the kit. Interesting. Frankie, of course, would have made eye contact with the guy yelling "woo" to get him to stop. Interesting, yeah. So we are getting the essentially an instrumental version of this. Let's move to the last minute and see what we hear.
But it's there, no? I mean...
Yeah. Double time. We're even getting the double time. Okay, so Birthday Boys on this initial performance from Oysterhead, the instrumental is there. I have to imagine this one was prepared ahead of time then by Trey and brought to the group. What's the deal with Happiness in My Pants? The song title, not anything going on with me.
Oh, that might have something to do with the story behind the lyrics, which we'll get to in a moment. Just speaking about this very early performance, as you said, the song is practically there, right? So it was just a matter of them coming up with the lyrics to complement this track. Now, in terms of live performances, Birthday Boys has been quite consistent. It was present throughout the 2001 tour for the first album. It came back for Bonnaroo 2006, and then it was performed at both Colorado dates in 2020. Yeah. It was not performed at the festival dates due to the limitations of the time Oysterhead was allowed to play. Now, in terms of what you can expect from the live versions, it's, kind of a palette cleanser during the set. You have like these really epic, very long jam vehicles. And then you have Birthday Boys somewhere in the set to kind of lighten up the mood. And it's just this silly little song, that I think they enjoy playing quite a bit. We do have a really, really cool performance from Colorado, which I'm eager for you to listen to. I'm interested to see what your reaction would be like. Other than that, well, that is the live history. Other than that, I guess we could start discussing the subject at hand. So, on one hand, we know that the title makes a reference to Trey and Les sharing birthdays with just one day in between them, right? Les has his birthday on September 29th, while Trey celebrates his on September 30th, so it makes perfect sense for them to have a party together whenever they are collaborating, right?
If you like sharing birthdays, go for it.
So far, so good, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, the song is, it's pretty clear. Now, when we take a closer look at the lyrics, that's where things get a little bit more complicated. First of all, Josh, if you trace the subject matter back to a previous album or a previous Les Claypool entry in his songwriting catalog, what song would you connect this one with?
Thematically, or are there certain words that you made an association with?
Both, practically.
Well, anytime I see the word adulation, I think, adulation, and then I think of Welcome to This World. And I could be way off as far as your line of thinking, but that's where my mind goes. Thematically, it seems like there is a celebration going on for the Birthday Boys, but it's beyond PG rated. So this could go in any number of directions as far as relating to other Claypool lyrics. But where does it take you?
All right, what do you think about this? Birthday boys, you can come around, but don't you talk to me.
Yeah,
I'm not in the mood for conversation. Recreating, don't touch my hand or speak words to me. Any conversation would irritate me.
that's a connection. I'm into that. We know that, yeah, so the attitude of recreating is I'm
I'm
letting my
tripping, right?
imagination guide me. I cannot be disturbed. This time, I think what's happening in front of them is beyond imagination. So there is a connection there, I suppose. But I love from this tune. I think that's my favorite thing is that lyric. You can come around, but don't you talk to me. I just think that's great. I've been in that mood before. Sure, come on over, but don't expect me to host you. All right, so it takes you to recreating lyrically as far as that portion of things.
I'm under the impression that Les and Trey are under the effect of unknown substances during their birthday party, right?
It would seem to be the case, yeah,
And
and they don't want
apparently
to be
they are
bothered.
and apparently they are being disturbed by one of the attendants of the party, whose name is Gina, correct?
A fictional name because nobody wants to get in trouble or out anyone, but seems like Gina is stealing the spotlight, which may be okay with our birthday boys, but it seems like maybe she's wearing out her welcome.
That's right. Let's take a look at these lyrics. What do you think is the meaning of Gina knows what it's like to be on the other side of midnight?
That I think is a fancy way of saying she's a woman of the night.
Okay, so the other side of midnight is like the dawn, like 1 a.m. forward.
The dark of night. She doesn't go out in the daylight because of the sensitivity of
Oh,
her eyes.
that explains sensitive to the brighter side of daylight. So
Yeah.
she's not used to doing stuff during the daytime. She's a night person.
In a manner of speaking, yes.
She knows what it's like to be the topic of conversation. As you mentioned, she's stealing all the attention away at the party, right?
Yeah.
While
She
birthday boys are wallowing in adulation. So, of course, everybody is walking up to Les and Trey to tell them how amazing they are, right?
That's what it seems. This sounds like it's an after show party for these guys. I love the term wallowing.
Guys like us are blind to the dirt that gathers in between the toes of moderation. What an incredible line.
I like that one too. And it's poetic and there's nice imagery. And so that comparison, our kind, we won't judge you for the choices you make, especially around overdoing it, I suppose, with those illicit
Right.
substances. Because the dirt that gathers between the toes of moderation is a great line. And clearly somebody is taking too much, but no
Then
judgment.
then there's quite a lot of emphasis in you can come around, but don't you talk to me. That is repeated a few times.
Mhm.
I'm not in the mood for conversation. Don't you talk to me. I don't mind if you come around and drink up all my wine. That's something Les has said several times in regards to the collaborators that enjoy his pachyderm, right? At Rancho Relaxo.
Yeah, and we get another lyrical reference pre-purple pachyderm to wine. So that's been on his mind, I guess, for quite some time up to this point. So
Sometimes this is where I confess that I was quite taken aback by the apparent meaning of the song because sometimes I find little treasures hidden deep within my drawers. Uh, I always picture Trey speaking about, the drawers that you pull from a shelf.
right, and it's not those.
It's not those. So apparently he's speaking about his underwear, right?
Yes, your drawers, your drawers. It's a colloquialism for your underpants. Indeed.
So what are the little treasures hidden there?
Well, first of all, it'd be unfortunate to call it little. No. Great question. I think everybody's carrying something different in their drawers, but as far as that goes, given the rumors behind the lyrics here, it seems like Gina, air quotes Gina, wanted to be involved with what was going on in Trey's drawers, because right after Hidden Treasures Deep Within My Drawers, Gina Knows is it comes back around. So my understanding, and I think we'll get into more detail here, is that Gina wanted something to do with Trey, and it sounds like Les and Trey weren't too into it and were bothered by her antics.
So nothing actually happened.
From what we can tell, it sounds like it'd be something nobody would be proud of. So I don't think anybody's going to report back or comment on that, whether it actually happened. But I think we've beat around the bush quite a bit. Do you want to toss it out there, Frankie?
I'll leave the honor up to you.
Here's what I've read. This is just cursory searches for what is going on behind these lyrics. And I did cheat a little bit, Frankie. I did listen to one of these live cuts of Birthday Boys, and Les does introduce it by saying, I can't really talk about this song very much, but I can tell you this. It was Las Vegas, there was a penis, cocaine, a pair of breasts, and Kid Rock. And that's all he'll say about it. And you look at that list and you think they all kind of go together. What I have also read, and of course this is on the internet, so it's true, right, Frankie? 100%. I guess the rumor is that Gina wanted to snort cocaine off of Trey's genitals.
Shocking.
On balance, yes, but he's a rock star. People want to do weird things with rock stars. And that's why being a rock star doesn't sound as great as advertised.
I do not know anything about the way that Trey navigates stardom or the way that he interacts with people upstage, but that sounds nothing like something Les would enjoy even witnessing, right?
Yeah, that was, 20-odd years ago. Even then, I don't think any of those guys were interested in that kind of thing. I think that's why it was, you can come around, but don't talk to me. That's not something I'm interested in, please.
Yeah, like don't be requesting weird stuff, right?
Yeah, go drink all the beer. Go talk to that guy. I'm celebrating my birthday with my buddy. That's just what I read. I'm not going to put any truth to it, and who knows?
Wild party that must have been.
We do know that Trey got clean around, 2006 or 7, obviously prior to that, so anything could have been going on. Especially with that description of Vegas, penis, coke, breasts, Kid Rock. I don't know what Kid Rock has to do with that, but it just seems like he would be there for that kind of activity. From what I know about that guy.
Sounds reasonable.
Sounds reasonable. Oh, man. Has anybody heard from him recently? Is he okay? I don't know. I hope he's all right. There's some stuff going on behind these lyrics, although they are presented much more tactfully and artfully on the record, and for that I'm thankful, Frankie. I really do think the lyrics are written nicely. I feel like the first half is mostly Trey lyrics, and the second half is mostly Les lyrics. I could be wrong about that, but Trey does have a way with words, and it's clearly, his style, of course, differs greatly from that of Les Claypool, so it's kind of...
You can tell right away.
Yeah. And so the way that Trey structures his lyrics is quite nice here. That imagery, and it's much, I would say it's smoother. The way his lyrics flow. Les's are often a little more up and down, a little more staccato, a little more enjammed, but Trey's are flowing right along with this tune that he's penned. And I appreciate that about this track. We're getting different flavors. So now that we've covered the lyrical content, let us never speak of it again, and let's hear some pieces from the actual studio cut. I do like the guitar work, and I'll tell you, this intro, Frankie, much like the one you played from 2000, the initial performance, it really makes me want to, as much as Birthday Boys is a nice little track here, it makes me want to press pause, go listen to Merle Travis or Chet Atkins just rip it up on guitar with that fingerstyle picking. Because Trey's kind of going in that direction. Not completely, but that's what it makes me want to listen to. Man, those guys could rip. And of course, they were, at this point, 50, 60 years ago, just absolutely destroying radio on TV, and people ate it up. But let's listen to this one. There's that loop, too, that we also heard on Oz, that Doppler thing. I do like that harmonic at the end of the lick, too, the phrase. That's pretty fun. So that's kind of the crux of the tune right there. But what I really like is right about here at about 1 minute and 20 seconds. Oh, Frankie, you chose the same time code as me. You ever notice how podcast hosts start looking like each other after a while? Uh-oh. 1 minute, 20 seconds on your birthday boys.
I'm in the mood for conversation. You can come around, but don't you talk to me.
Descending line.
I don't mind if you
This part's
come
pretty
around
cool.
and drink up all my wine. Won't be the first time. Sometimes I find little treasures hidden deep within my drawers. Gina knows. You can.
Based on what we know or think we know about the lyrics, pairing it with this music is just so fitting in that it doesn't fit at all. What a great turnabout by these guys. So that part is nice, and then we get into the fast outro, where they pick up the pace, much like we heard on the initial recording from 2000. They must have liked this a lot.
You can come around, but don't talk to me. I'm not in the mood for conversation. You can come around, but don't talk to me. I'm not in the mood for conversation. You can come around, but don't talk to me. I'm not in the mood for conversation.
A couple of things I really like there is the vocal layering, and Stewart has more toys to play with as opposed to that first performance. So he's having a great old time back there with the hoedown.
And this foreshadows Do the Twang more than a decade later. Same
That
vibe,
is, yes.
same style.
And that's something I wanted to ask you about,
Sort of
Frankie, because
outros.
we have an all-banjo show for the enhanced CD release in 96, for Punch Bowl enhanced CD, that is. We have this track. We know that Les likes messing around with the bass banjo. At this point, obviously he's not dropping breadcrumbs in 2001, but we can kind of trace the dots to get to Do a Twang, that it was there all along, you know?
He always wanted to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, there are those bits and pieces through the years, and then it's finally realized as a fully fledged project.
That is something it's quite amazing to think about how, for some musicians, it takes several years to even feel that urge to try to explore something different, right? But, if you think about Les, how early into their career were they already doing the Yellow Sock?
Yeah.
A completely radically different kind of music than what they were doing with Primus. So you can see how from the get-go, Les was always a very relentless musician.
Mm-hmm. And this is something, it is different, Do It a Twang, that is. It is different, but at the same time, it is rooted in his childhood, as he's spoken of many a time, with what he would hear on the radio at his granddad's house, developing that appreciation for Stompin' Tom Connors, Amos Moses being the first 7-inch single he ever bought, I believe. So
yes, with his own money, right?
With his own money, yeah. So there's roots. There are roots there. It's comparable, albeit the results are much more palatable for me. It's comparable when a metal musician says, I'm going to go back to my roots and make a blues record. Because they're just playing 12-bar blues. I'm like, great, this is what you would woodshed on when you were 14. Les makes it much more entertaining than that, at least. With Do It a Twang. But yes, we are seeing some of the roots on display here. And he's doing some cool stuff. It's the bass is very understated in this track, but he is playing fairly fast pace and doing some fun stuff on the bass with this one. As they, it's a nicely fast-paced tune. So,
what do our patrons have to say?
Well, I'll tell you what our patrons have to say, Frankie. If you would like your thoughts on the track up for discussion read right here on the podcast, check out patreon.com/Primus Tracks. Many ways to support this podcast. The universal constant is Primates Takes. Everybody gets access to that. I put up a thread for the upcoming tunes. You drop your thoughts in there. I'll read them on the pod. And Frankie, I am beyond excited to tell you and all the Primates that Primates Takes has a theme song now. So
that is absolutely incredible.
Hats off to you, Johnny Perona, for the Primates Takes. I'm going to play it in its entirety, Frankie, so everybody can hear it, enjoy it, love it, and then we'll get to the takes. Johnny Perona's Primates Takes. That's a creative bunch over there on the Patreon, Frankie.
Compelling.
It's so fitting. Thank you again for that, Johnny. I'm going to put that underneath every Primate take from here to Timbuktu. Speaking of Primates takes, let's hear them. Birthday Boys, Edwin Allen Richards IV says, I really like Birthday Boys, but it's the only song that truly feels to me like it doesn't belong on the album. It just doesn't fit with the rest of the vibe. I still think it's a great song. There's a sentiment directly contrasts that from John Shreve, who says, Birthday Boys is my favorite track on this album. The live videos show that it's almost a showdown of ridiculously difficult feats of hand dexterity. And he adds, 10 out of 10 regardless of its fishiness. That's John Shreve's opinion, not mine. Primus Tracks does not. Brooks Delight, Frankie's pal Brooks Delight says, I'm not a Fish fan at all. Birthday Boys is arguably the fishiest song on the record, so you'd think I'd hate it. Well, that's not the case. I love this song. Beautiful guitar work by Trey, and I enjoy the lyrics just as much. I didn't expect for Trey to rope me in on this record, but there it is. So Trey converted Brooks with Birthday Boys, Frankie. It's the gateway song.
The fishiest track on the record is such a fitting, accurate description.
I would think Reba would be the gateway song for Primus fans, but I guess it's Birthday Boys. Jordan Kahn, speaking of fish, Frankie, Jordan Kahn, our resident fish expert over on the Patreon, says, I am lucky to have been at both the Birthday Boys debut in Seattle 2001 and the Las Vegas weekend a year before that inspired it. The final days of September 2000 were a wild, debaucherous rockstar birthday blowout immortalized in the Trey solo track Push On Till the Day. Oh, wow. Trey got a lot of inspiration out of that night. Have you heard Push On Till the Day, Frankie?
Not yet.
I'm not at all familiar myself.
But, I mean, it does sound like that night changed his life forever.
Based on what we discussed earlier, I suppose anybody's life would be irrevocably altered. Primates, those are the Primates takes. Thank you so much, Primates, Primatrons, wonderful people that you are.
Lifetime.
What are we hearing tonight, Frankie?
What's the first one up, Josh? How many are there? How many did I send?
You only sent me one this time.
Oh, you know why? Why I only sent one? Because it's more than enough. It has so many different sections, iterations, and interpretations that there was no need for anything else.
Wow. So what we are about to hear are portions of the definitive Birthday Boys live performance.
I would say so. I would venture to say that this is the best live performance of Birthday Boys.
Strong words coming from Frankie Berestein. If you have an opinion on the best performance of Birthday Boys, please send it to primustrackspod@gmail.com. Attention, Frankie, and I will make sure he receives it. I would love to host a debate about the best Birthday Boys version. And I would be a really good moderator on that, Frankie, because I have absolutely no opinion on it, nor do I have skin in the game on that. So I would be a great facilitator, moderator, and I just want everybody to have a good time and get their point across. Okay. February 14th, 2020, Broomfield, Colorado. Valentine's Day again.
Yes.
All right.
So if you've watched a video, you will see how Les and Trey are sitting down in the middle of the stage with Trey has his acoustic guitar out, Les is on the dobro. They are, having some banter with each other, and off they go into Birthday Boys.
Stuart Copeland, nowhere to be found.
No, I think do you hear percussion in this version?
Oh, well, I have not listened to this version, but I think the one I watched the intro to was the 15th. Stu didn't look like he was on stage, so twang time.
Little treasures hid deep within my drawers. Gina knows you can come around, but don't talk to me. I'm not in the mood for conversation. You can come around, but don't you talk to me. You can come around, but don't.
Wow. So on the record, it's like trio de twang. This really does sound like duo de twang.
I just looked at the video. Stuart was taking a break.
I think he's earned it.
And it also sounds logical, right? I mean, this song is kind of an inside thing between Les and Trey. Only they know what happened exactly. So I would imagine that Stuart is fine with not being part of that whole thing, right?
That's a great point. Those two guys experienced it, whatever it was, and they can bring the show down a little bit, come out, sit on a couple of stools, banter about, play this tune, and then get back to the big rock show. So it brings some dynamics into the proceedings. That's a great point, Frankie.
When I saw Les and Trey on the stools, on the footage of this night and the following one, I immediately remembered how cool it was when they did something a little bit similar, right, for New Year's Eve 2015, when it was time to perform The Air is Scary and Slippery, when you had Les on the dobro.
Yes.
And you had them like in front of the curtain, right?
Yes.
And Herb was also using what was he playing?
He was just sitting on a bucket and hitting that with his sticks.
Sitting on a bucket. Yeah, totally. It reminded me of that. It's a cool moment in the shows, right? To kind of change the vibe a little bit.
Yeah, it's a nice little device. A lot of bands have done that that I have witnessed. Medeski, Martin, and Wood did something similar when I saw them 20-odd years ago. Actually, Mike Dillon, his band Punkadelic, did something similar, where the other two, Nikki and Brian, abandoned their instruments and joined Mike on the vibraphone, and they all played something together. So a lot of bands I've seen have done that, now that I think about it. And it just brings everything down. And most of the crowd, the ones that are paying attention at any rate, they lean in, they quiet down, and they listen. And it's really rewarding to have, whether it's 45 people in a room or 4,500 people in an auditorium, all lean in and quiet down. It's quite an effect. I'm forwarding to Speed. That's Frankie's caption for this next portion. I am Speed.
I can't keep up.
I'm sure you remember.
So, you ready? This is the part where, like, the testicles start swinging.
Okay, do it.
Ready?
Count it off.
I'm gonna count this son of a bitch. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Speedy. That's nice. It's nice and
Trey
speedy.
was definitely trying to keep up with Les.
That's a tough guitar line to play when it's speedy. Now let's hear it speedier.
1, 2, 3, 4. You can come around, but don't shock me.
Oh my.
I'm not in the mood for conversation. You can come around, but don't talk to me. I'm not in the mood for conversation. You can come around, but don't talk to me. I'm not in the mood for conversation. You can come around, but don't talk to me. I'm not in the mood for conversation.
All right, they did pretty good with speedier, but
Behold the Slayer version.
Let's do the. Can we do the Slayer version of the outro? 2, 3, 4. You can come around, but don't you talk to me. I'm not in the mood for conversation. You can come around, but don't you dare talk to me. I'm not in the mood for conversation. You can come around, but don't you talk to me. I'm not in the mood for conversation. You can come around, but don't you talk to me. Oh, I'm not in the mood for conversation.
beautiful.
Isn't this the definite version of the song live?
Wow. They're having a lot of fun with it, clearly, playing around with it and making not making light of their own tune, but just having fun with the possibilities of it. And that, I think, is the thread that connects this with Do It a Twang. Now, this is 2020, so Do It a Twang's been around for a while, and so maybe this is the twangified Birthday Boys, but this is very reminiscent of Twang to me at this point, too.
This is Birthday Boys informed by the experience that Les had with Do It a Twang.
100%. Now, I'm forwarding to the end for what Frankie labels Trey's comment.
Not really sure that Slayer would call that the Slayer version. Whatever.
Did anybody ask him? Let's get Tom Araya on the phone. Joining us from Retirement Village in Los Angeles, Slayer frontman. Okay. Nice one, Frankie. That's pretty much all I have for Birthday Boys, Frankie.
So Les and Trey had their fun, but up next, Stuart takes over.
I guess
no more clowning around, right? Things get serious.
Things get serious when Stu Daddy takes the mic. I guess I should say this, Frankie. Birthday Boys, cut the cake because you've been tracked. And next time, as Frankie intimated, ready your garden implements. It is going to get serious. Barber. I'm just practicing, Frankie. I think we're both going to be doing that baritone next time. Barber. You win. Primates, primatrons, listeners of all ears. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Later days.
Willie Mays.
Gina?